welcome to episode 7 of Edges and Sledges. Like last week, we've got the IPL as our main focus. My name is Arun Garg. I'm based in Singapore. I've got my co-bloggers with me, Dhananjay Chak from London, and Ashwin Garg, who's based in Toronto usually, but is logging in from China this time. He's on holiday. And as per our last two episodes, we've got a guest speaker with us. Sorry, we're having a bit of a technical issue, but yeah, we've got a guest speaker with us. You can see him walking to the next room. His name is Rohan Narula. He used to be a former trader, and now a screenwriter, right? And he's based in Bombay. So we'll get him to talk a little bit. He's of course grown up in Calcutta, and he's got he follows the KKR team. But today we're going to ask him to talk a little bit about Kings 11 Punjab. That's the team in highlight today. So just a quick recap. IPL has started about 9 days ago. We've seen everything so far. We've seen nail-biting finishes. We've seen complete annihilation of the bowlers with batsmen scoring over 200 a couple of times and it being chased down. We've also seen some cases like Sunrisers Hyderabad where bowlers are winning them the game. We've seen it all. We've seen injuries, and it's the first time Suresh Raina has ever missed a game for CSK in the last 10 years. We've seen bad umpire calls. We've seen a signature dance move by DJ Bravo. And we've seen some fantastic debuts, Markande in particular for Bombay. So lots to talk about. I think we're going to try talking about a couple of the different teams, what's happening in the IPL so far. But let me first open with asking our guest today, Rohan. Rohan, when we started talking about the IPL, Kings 11 Punjab wasn't kind of so high on our radar. Now, you write a lot of scripts. Do you think you could have written something like this for Kings 11 Punjab in the start that they're having?
I would like to say that Kings of Punjab was not on your radar, but was definitely on my radar. As I have mentioned it a couple of times. I don't think I could have written a better script for Kings of Punjab. I think the team looks good. It looks balanced. A dynamic top order, a reliable middle, with the exception of UV, who's doing well in this match, as we've seen. And then you have a bowling which can't really defend low totals, but they are economical, and they'll save you 15-20 runs every game. So I think and the bowling lineup, they can also be spin heavy or pace heavy depending on the pitch. They can do that as well. So I rate them very highly. They are my pick for the IPL 2018 champions.
Interesting. And Rohan, tell us a little bit about Rahul. What do you think about at the top? Because Rahul has been in and out of the Indian team. Everyone knows he's got potential. Is it surprising that he's coming at the top and really dominating the innings, and most batsmen are trying to play around him?
I'm surprised that he has shown this new avatar of his. But I think that the credit goes to how competitive the opening slot in the Indian team is. That you have to show up. You have to play like this if you want to be noticed. I'm happy that he's playing like this, and I think it's good for Indian cricket. But as per your question, I'm surprised that this is just happening. Yeah.
Okay, great. And DJ, any thoughts on Kings 11 Punjab so far in the tournament?
I think they've done really well. Ashwin's been an interesting captain. He left Gale out for the first two games. Ron, maybe you can talk a little bit about that. What was the thinking behind that? Is it to rev him up to get him fired up for the rest of the tournament? We saw what he did today, but was that the thinking, or was there another reason for leaving him out in the first few games?
I think Virendra Sehwag, the master manipulator he is, like straight out of Machiavelli and Chanakya. He wants Gale to think that he is not necessary to the setup of the team. So the fact that they won a game without him in place, I'm sure he's lost 10 kilos in the last week, just to stress that he might not be getting a game. And I think Viru must have surprised him a couple of hours ago and telling him that, you're playing. And I think but he'll drop him the next game, I'm telling you. He's going to drop him the next game just to mess with him. And that's how he's going to play with Gale. He's going to make sure that Gale is focused, and by dropping him randomly and maybe not serving him breakfast. That's another thing that happens.
Yeah, because Gale is one of those characters that sometimes you feel like he's just going through the motions, maybe. But today he came out, and from ball one, I mean, you saw that drive against Harbhajan. Fantastic
Absolutely.
shot. And you don't see him moving his feet or do anything usually. But today he looked like he was on it, and he had a point to prove, I felt. So, yeah, it's looking dangerous for everybody else in the, I think, in the tournament. So, I think the other teams need to watch out, guys.
Yeah, I think but moving the feet thing, like if your top half is very heavy, you don't really move your feet. But I think the fact that he lost so much weight in the last 10 days, right, because they're not giving him food, he can move his feet finally. Right.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting. And in fact, Rohan and I were just discussing earlier that it was a kind of a master move by Sehwag, right? I think 3 or 4 rounds went by in the auction and nobody picked Gale. It was almost like a final call. Anybody wants to take Gale. Viru saw it at 2 crores and put his hand up immediately because, let's be honest, at 2 crores, having Gale as a backup opener, I guess it really says something about the Punjab squad. So that was interesting. So we'll come back, we'll discuss a little bit more about Punjab, but let's talk about the team who's at the top of the table. And if our friend Yogi is watching this, he's going to be laughing at us because last week we had kind of said that Sunrisers Hyderabad is on a race to the bottom, and here we have 3 games, 3 wins. So Ashwin, talk us through a little bit about Sunrisers Hyderabad.
Yeah, I mean, credit where it's due. I was the one who said, I think without Warner, they look like they'll finish bottom 2 in a race with Delhi. I think, let's not jump the gun too much. I think to just temper the expectations a little, Kane Williamson has gone out and won 3 tosses out of 3. He's batted second all 3 times, which is something I'm hoping we talk a little bit about later in the podcast. And he's won all 3 of his matches. Rohit Sharma, by contrast, which we'll talk about Bombay later, lost 3 tosses, batted first all 3 matches, and lost 3 matches.
All on the last ball as well, right?
All on the last ball as well, yeah. So there's a lot more to it than just saying Hyderabad has started strong. Having said that, I think, this is our 11th year, 10 years in a row. It's been proven over and over and over again that bowling wins you matches in T20s. And I think a Hyderabad bowling lineup dominated, led by Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, ably supported by, a really solid cast. I think that's what differentiates the Sunrisers. I think Bangalore is feeling the pain. As we record this, or the match just ended rather, Kohli feels the pain of not having a bowling lineup that can defend a low total or that can restrict a side. But Bangalore's auction strategy was just, let's go really top order heavy, as it has been for many years, and they've never won an IPL before. So I think the real key to success, Dhawan has been in great form, but he's had good IPLs before. He's coming off good ODI form for India. The key to success, other than winning the toss for the Hyderabad team, is the bowling lineup and the confidence that Williamson has in his bowlers.
And can you just just on that, can you just talk us through the fielding maybe, Varun, yesterday? I mean, we saw the Sunrisers field absolutely magnificently, and Manish Pandey in particular really stood out. So is this something that we've seen over the last few seasons? I can't particularly remember them being a great fielding side, but there seems to be a big improvement. Maybe I'm getting this wrong, but I'd be keen to, you're obviously the one who's probably most focused on the IPL. So I'd be keen to get your kind of thoughts on whether the fielding's improved or whether it's just been this brilliant all through the IPL.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good question. I think the fielding has been very good. I think Manish Pandey yesterday really kind of showed that, and he was playing for KKR earlier, so I think comparing as a benchmark is a bit hard. What I do want to say is I remember David Warner was the guy at long on taking all the catches, and this time what I do want to say is that Williamson has kind of put his hand up, right? If you've seen a couple of matches where Williamson is in the field, he's running around like an 18-year-old. He's scrambling after the ball, he's diving for catches, he's got a direct hit. So I think it really starts from the front. I think Williamson is the one doing a good job. So yeah, but their fielding has definitely picked up. But let me ask you, Rohan, just on the Sunrisers Hyderabad, how good is Rashid Khan? I mean, I remember you saying that it's almost like Sunil Narayan a few years ago. So how good is Rashid Khan in this team?
It's incredible, man. Like, he's so good that they did not retain Mustafizur because they had to play Rashid Khan. And the fact that, he's a normal leg spinner, he's been in the circuit for 3 years. And I think as a spinner, if you're in the circuit for 3 more years, and you're still effective, and you're going for like 4 or 5 and over. You give at least 10 to 12 dot balls every game you play. It is incredible, and that the fact that he's only 19 to do that. And we talked about this, that I think my prediction is that in the next 3 years, there's a good chance that Rashid Khan might just captain the Sunrisers team. Uh, so he's one for the future. And he's also followed the same path as Narayan, in the sense that Narayan doesn't really take many wickets now, not more than 1 or 2, and it's the same with Rashid. The people just play around him, but for a 19-year-old to have such an impact on a tournament is just, and on the T20 global stage, is incredible.
Yeah, and just if I can build on that, sorry, it's not just T20s. He also just recently became the fastest bowler to 100 ODI wickets.
Yes,
Now, granted,
absolutely.
Afghanistan is playing. You can argue Afghanistan doesn't play the Tier A sides, but for the kind of opposition he's playing and for the system he's come through to be the fastest to 100 ODI wickets is just an incredible accomplishment.
And it's also the record is like the next. I think the next best is like 10 more games, right? So he also has a good. Like nobody can beat him. Like it's a great record to have.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about batsmen batting around an anchor player in the team. I mean, Rashid Khan is an example of bowlers bowling around him and he being the anchor. I just don't see him opening for Sunrisers the way Narayan.
Yeah.
But you never know the IPL. You never.
Just on that, actually, have you been seeing teams kind of just wanting to play out Rashid Khan's overs like they did with Nareen for a long time? They said, we're going to play out these 4 overs, just block them out, take singles, and then we'll attack the rest of the bowlers, because for a long time that was a tactic that people followed when playing the KKR spinners. And just to follow up on that, maybe Rohan, you can address this. Why did KKR change their batting lineup in the last game? Why did Nareen not open it? I mean, he's been batting brilliantly, so did DK miss a trick in not getting him to open that last game? So be keen to hear on that.
I absolutely think so. I think it was a very stupid idea not to make Narayan open. I mean, it's been working for you. He has a clear brief that you go from ball 1, and if you get out on a duck, that's okay. Clearly, he's not very comfortable batting after the power play, so sending him 2 down makes no sense. I think it was a blunder, and I hope they correct it in the next game. And on the I just want to continue on the previous thing that bowlers bowled around Narayan, and I think that's why Piyush Chawla is one of the highest wicket takers in the IPL, because he got the wickets that Narayan deserved.
Yeah.
Yeah, just on that though, as you talk about Karthik's captaining blunder, he's a new captain, but it's also worth mentioning I think they had 17 to defend, and he gave Vinay Kumar the ball after Vinay Kumar had a horrid opening spell. So thoughts maybe from you on Karthik as a captain, and what it means to give Vinay Kumar the 20th over when he hasn't had a track record either in that game or really in 10 years of the IPL.
Yeah. So I to be honest, I can't remember if other bowlers had an over left. I think Vinay Kumar got trolled badly on Twitter, and he himself came out and said, "Guys, chill. Shit happens, right?" So I think he hasn't had a great record, but in the past, we've seen Nehra, we've seen Dinda, we've seen Ishant Sharma all getting hit like this. I think Karthik needs to now realize that he needs to plan his bowlers better. I don't think Vinay Kumar is a 20th over bowler. But ball was handed to him, and unfortunately, that's just the T20 game. So I think Karthik will take that as a learning, and he'll probably want to kind of move on from that. And it's a fair point. You probably have to pick who's your best bowler, because remember, KKR is also a bowling heavy side, and knowing that the bowlers win them the games. So that's interesting. So let's talk a little bit about the Mumbai Indians, right? And DJ, I want to get your perspective here. So. Sunrisers Hyderabad 3 games, 3 wins. Mumbai Indians 3 games, 3 losses. Let's talk a little bit about the importance of the toss and also the Mumbai Indians team, because let's face it, they have won the IPL quite a few number of times. They always do make a comeback towards the latter half of the group stage. So any thoughts on Mumbai Indians?
So Mumbai has won the IPL 3 times. Once I think they'd lost the first 6 games, and they came back and made the finals, and maybe they lost the final, I can't remember, but they are traditionally slow starters. This year, their batting lineup looks a little bit light, to be completely honest. Evan Lewis is a big hitter at the top. Rohit Sharma has dropped himself back lower down the order. But they have been unlucky with the toss. They've lost the toss 3 times, and they've lost all 3 games at the end. Their death bowling is fantastic with Bumrah and Mustafizur. Their batting lineup, I mean, it's dependent more on the Pandya brothers and Pollard also chipping in quite a lot. But they're a good side, and I mean, if luck starts going in their favor, they will do well, and they'll be a force to reckon with. But with the IPL, momentum is such a big thing, and if you've lost 3 games to start with, it's very difficult to get back into it, and therefore, like, they need to win the next game or the next 2 to kind of get back into it. And speaking of which, after 2 consecutive losses, the Delhi Daredevils won a game finally. So Ashwin, maybe you can give us a little bit about that. A fantastic innings from Jason Roy and a little bit of a cameo by Rishabh Pant. So you must be pretty happy right now.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I was disappointed. I have a whole separate argument to have about the validity and merit of 6-over games. Chasing, Rajasthan being 158 odd after 17 overs, to me, doesn't equate to needing to chase down 71 in 6 overs without the ability to build you basically you have to go from ball 1. And it's different getting 71 in the last 6 overs of an innings where you've been batting versus getting 71 in an entirety of 6 overs. So, yeah, Delhi lost 2 on the trot, but I think the Rajasthan game was probably a little bit unfair. But, rain is rain. It'll work against you some days. It'll work for you some days. I thought the Mumbai game was really interesting. And I'll come back to Mumbai, but I thought, great performance by Delhi all around. Gambhir falling a little short, and makes me a little bit nervous about Gambhir being exposed as in a chase where you need to score at a strike rate of 150 odd. It just feels like Gambhir is a great batsman for when you bat first or have a low total to chase down, but may prove a little bit of a kink in the armor for Delhi for those large chases. But I mean, part of why there was hype and excitement about the squad before the IPL started was, hey, if Jason Roy or Colin Munro at the top can fire, then you have Pant coming, and you have a little bit of stability with Iyer and Gambhir, maybe Vijay Shankar or whoever plays that spot, Naman Ojha or somebody else. And then you have Maxwell coming later. So there is, on paper, great stability around this batting lineup. It's just that it fell apart in the first couple of games, partly due to some poor decision making and poor decision making from Colin Munro. But Jason Roy stepped up. I mean, he's been proven to be volatile. Sometimes he's fantastic. Sometimes he'll get out for a first ball duck. But he stepped up when it mattered. So I thought that was great. But just to come back to Mumbai Indians, what I thought fell apart for them a little is I sat here I think last week and said what makes Mumbai an amazing side is their 4 quick bowling options. So they've been playing 3, but I mean if you look at their seam options, Jasprit Bumrah, Mustafizur, and Hardik Pandya played against Delhi, and the 4th one on the bench at the time was Pat Cummins. He, I believe, has since been ruled out. But I mean, that's a really, really solid lineup. Then you add on Krunal Pandya, Mayank Markandeya as spin options. I think their bowling lineup is great, and I think Rohit and the players will need to do some real soul searching to not be able to defend. What was it, 194? I think that was a really weak spot. So bowling for Mumbai, to me, I think they need to watch out for. Bumrah hasn't necessarily been the force he was a couple of years ago, and I think he needs to step up and lead the attack despite his young age.
Yeah, and Rohan, talk us through. You had you somehow, for some reason, yesterday was a dream fantasy game for you. You managed to pick Jason Roy from Delhi, but more importantly, you picked Surya Kumar Yadav, who opened the batting and got you like so many points. So where did Surya Kumar Yadav come in? And secondly, just finishing up on Bombay, how good is Markandeya for you?
How good is Markandeya for me? I mean, he's not my brother or something, But Surya Kumar Yadav, I've always been a fan of his. I thought he was not treated well in KKR. They treated him like they didn't belong over there. And I think in Bombay, the fact that Sachin, we talked about a Sachin factor, right? That Sachin is sitting right there watching you play. And the fact that he's a Bombay boy and that he plays in the Wankhede, it really helps his case. I mean, you could see how out of sorts he was in the away game, right? Like he looked good at Wankhede, but in the away game, he was going at like 80 strike rate, right? Markandeya is great for fantasy because he's going to play every game and he's cost 65,000, and it's just that's wonderful. But yeah, I think Surya Kumar has found his home, right? In Bombay.
Yeah, fair enough. In fact, Markanday to me, he's bowling fantastic. I remember in his first game, he outfoxed Dhoni, and to me that ball was just incredible. Talking about another incredible ball, I don't know if you guys saw the ball from Mujib to Kohli.
Yeah.
I mean that was a beauty. It was flighted. It was a googly, and Kohli kind of had no idea. For me, that was the moment of the IPL in week 1 to see Kohli get outboxed by Mujib. And in fact, I was reading somewhere, it was very interesting. They said that a few years ago, Mujib didn't even know what a googly was. He saw his cousin bowling leg spin action and the ball turning the other way, and apparently was chuckling, saying, what is that? What kind of a ball is that? So that's really kind of the background. But to me, Kohli getting outfoxed was really great. Let me ask each of you. You guys have been watching the IPL, maybe because of time zones, not every game, but one memory from week 1. Anything that you guys stood out for you guys? Maybe we'll start with Ashwin.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the new players that showed up on the scene. So you mentioned 2 of them now. It is Mujib and Markanday with the ball. I think it's the unexpected players that Rohit said at the toss. We were playing this new guy, nobody's really seen him before, and he picked up those 3 wickets and bowled the googly. So what I love about the IPL that's always been great is those new unexpected guys. Almost every team, or maybe half the teams at least, bring one player you haven't seen before, and they use it as an opportunity to try to introduce somebody a little bit new. I mean, KKR yesterday, neither of them had a good outing, but the 2 under-19 stars, Bhavi and Gill, both played. It's hard to come out and perform on your first day, but for me, week 1 of the IPL, I love seeing the new faces that have been playing at the Ranji Trophy or under-19 level, but haven't been exposed to broader India cricket. That's the most exciting part about it for me.
Okay, and DJ, for you?
For me, it's actually been an old face, Siddharth Kaul. He's made a bit of an impact for the Sunrisers. And what I absolutely love about that guy is his headband. He almost has no hair. But it comes out of his pocket when he's about to start bowling, and I'm just like, why do you need it? But and he celebrates, and it's pretty amazing. I like to watch him, and the Russell innings, 88 not out, right? That I found that really good. Rohan, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your first week and what has stood out for you, and then you can give us one of your fantasy tips. I know you're climbing up the ranks again, so I'd be keen to hear from you how you're doing that.
Well, I'm just using my brain. It's just common sense, most of this fancy stuff. Actually, DJ, we shared our special moment from week 1. For me, it was Andrew Russell's brutal innings. I just could not believe this guy hit Dwayne Bravo for 6 sixes. It was incredible, brutal hitting. It was clean. Every time he hit the ball, I thought he was going to get out. And the fact that they couldn't win the game from there, that's because of our great Vinay Kumar. It was really sad for me. It was really sad that Russell's innings could not end up in a win for KKR. About fantasy tips, I think I've noticed with the IPL that it always starts where bowlers do well in the first week because the batsmen are still trying to get used to the pitch, trying to settle in. Some have come after like long trips. But I think it's going to be a batsman's tournament from now on. So keep your openers handy, and always play Surya Kumar Yadav because clearly he's the good, and especially if they're playing at Wankhede. But drop him when they're playing anywhere else because the Yadav name doesn't shine as much in other states.
Awesome. So just for our viewers, we do have a fantasy league. And I think there are 25 people playing, and Rohan and Ashwin are in, I think, position number 5 and 4, if I'm not mistaken, and of course DJ is at number 1. So
it's a lot of scrolling up for you, right?
It's a lot of scrolling.
Why didn't you say where you are?
I think I'm at number 18 out of 25, but it's a long tournament, boys. But yeah, DJ, you're number 1 in our league. Why don't you give us your fantasy tips since you can't control the smile on your face?
Well, I wouldn't want to disclose it so early on in the IPL fantasy season, but it's all luck, man. Unlike Rohan, I don't use my brain. It's just going for it, making sure you get the changes in, right? that one of our friends, Yogi, he was awake and he just missed the deadline. So that it's you end up missing changes. It happens sometimes. You get distracted. So sorry about that, Yogi. Yogi is doing really well this year as well. So um, looking forward to seeing him kind of challenge the top 4-5. Um, but I was actually going to go back to the Markanday ball that you mentioned. Do you think that once the novelty of these bowlers wears off, uh, they'll get worked out with all the video analysis and all the work that people do behind the scenes? We saw it with Akila Dhananjaya. He took 6 wickets against India and then didn't take a wicket in the rest of the series. We saw it with Markanday. First 2 games, excellent. I think 3 wickets and 4 wickets, and then went for 42 of his 3 overs. Rohan, maybe you can talk us through whether you think that these guys are going to consistently do well. Like someone like Nareen did well consistently, right? He was before his remodeled action. Uh, but is it that once a novelty wears off, these bowlers are not going to do great? Is Rashid Khan one of them, or is he an exception like Nareen?
I think it actually comes down to the bowlers themselves and then how consistent, how motivated are they, and how do they think of themselves as athletes. Just to give an example of the Vinay Kumar, why I dislike him is that he's the same bowler that he's now that he was 10 years ago. There's absolutely no growth, there's no evolution. And I mean, if one of our friends said if he bowls the length he's bowling now, he shouldn't be there in the team. So, look, Washington Sundar, he is a pretty average spinner, right? He doesn't have that much turn, but he's a smart spinner. He says it that I like to read the batsman. I like to think of what the batsman will do. So as long as these bowlers are always try to think, one step ahead, try to read the batsman, they'll do well. But if they think that they can just go and throw the ball and something will happen, then they're not going to last. So a guy like Sundar, I believe he's there for the long haul in the limited overs edition. Markanday, it's too soon to tell. He does have the tools for it, but he has to have the right guidance, and he needs to keep working on his craft. Narayan is a benchmark for all these guys. Narayan is a guy who's changed his action 3 times. Even while doing that, he's developed a completely new skill set of being an opening batsman. I mean, that's what you call a sportsman, an athlete. He's like a champion athlete. And I hope these guys aspire to be like him. It's the only way that can work.
Yeah. Oh, great point there. So we're coming towards the end of our section. So Ashwin, wait, let me just get your fantasy tip. Is boost the secret of your energy?
No, yeah. I mean, I can give you a fantasy tip today that is very relevant to me because of I have the long hair in this show. Pick and trump Umesh Yadav when he's wearing the headband. Leave Umesh Yadav off without the headband, because with the headband so far he had 3 for 23 and 2 for 27. No headband, 4 overs, 0 for 59. So that's my tip. Siddharth Kaul doesn't need it. Umesh Yadav with the headband is a guaranteed success.
Awesome. Okay, we look out for the headband. So last 1 minute of the show, guys. Each of you, in just one word, pick the team to watch out for in the next week before we do our next show. Let me go first. I say Delhi Daredevils, team to watch out. DJ?
CSK, man, always, all the way.
CSK. Rohan?
Mumbai, this week, Mumbai.
Mumbai. And Ashwin?
I'm going to say Bangalore, actually.
Okay, great. So there you have it. 4 teams. Let's hope that we're not sitting next Sunday and saying all 4 teams played badly and the other 4 did well. But there you have it. Episode 7 of our show. Keep watching, guys. Share, like, subscribe, give us feedback. Ask your friends to watch, ask your neighbors to watch, ask everyone to watch. And we also have a podcast up, so look out for the details in our Facebook post. But yeah, thank you everyone, and we'll see you guys next Sunday. Thanks, Rohan.
Thank you for having us, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.